The film kicks off in OK City, where Officer Knight and his loyal canine partner Greg patrol the streets in pursuit of the notorious villain, Pi, a genius but diabolical cat with a habit of causing chaos. Their relentless chase takes them through the city until Pi suddenly emerges from the sewers, speeding towards a dangerously high bridge. Realizing the risk, Officer Knight turns to Greg and tells him that if anything happens, he must take care of Alice, his girlfriend. Without hesitation, Knight pushes forward, but just as things look bleak, Greg deploys a parachute, allowing them to land safely atop a building. Unfortunately, their car isn't so lucky and crashes below. As they catch their breath, Pi speeds past them, laughing mockingly, but then disaster strikes. Pi has left a bomb on the rooftop. At this moment, we flash back to Pi's secret hideout, where he discusses his ultimate plan with his assistant Butler. Pi sees Officer Knight as a tough cop with impressive combat skills, but little intelligence, while Greg is smart but physically weak. Returning to the present, Officer Knight attempts to defuse the bomb. Greg urges him to cut the blue wire, but Knight, trusting his instincts, chooses the green one because green means go. The bomb detonates, causing a massive explosion. Both Knight and Greg are rushed to the hospital with severe injuries. Greg's body is badly damaged, and Knight's head is heavily bandaged. To save their lives, a nurse suggests an unconventional solution: transplant Greg's head onto Knight's body. The doctor, seeing no better option, proceeds with the surgery. The result? The birth of a brand new hero, Dogman. News reporter Sarah covers the groundbreaking procedure, and soon, Dogman becomes the city's beloved protector, fighting crime and rescuing civilians. However, the chief of police grows frustrated that Dogman gets all the praise while he remains in the shadows. Meanwhile, Dogman seeks out Alice, only to learn that she has moved out and is selling their home. She has a new boyfriend and makes it clear she could never date someone who is half dog, half human. Elsewhere, Pi, still plotting Dogman's downfall, searches for a weakness. His assistant reminds him that dogs hate firecrackers, sparking an idea. Around the same time, the chief calls Dogman into his office with a direct order: capture Pi once and for all. Dogman outsmarts Pi's schemes repeatedly, sending him to cat jail multiple times. But Pi always finds a way to escape. This continuous cycle lands the chief in trouble with the furious mayor, who warns that Dogman is failing and should be reassigned. The chief argues that the issue lies with the poorly secured cat jail, but the mayor, whose brother runs it, takes offense. She demands Dogman be removed from the case and given a lesser job. Feeling betrayed, Dogman returns home, devastated. Not only has he lost the case, but Alice has left him too. Meanwhile, Pi's assistant, fed up with his behavior, quits. But Pi doesn't care. Instead, he hatches his most devious plan yet. If he can't defeat Dogman alone, he'll need someone just as cunning as himself. After extensive research, he stumbles upon a cloning machine and decides to create an exact copy of himself. The next morning, Dogman is summoned to the chief's office for a new assignment. The chief reminds him about Flippy the fish, a seemingly insignificant gift Dogman once gave him. A once ordinary fish who became a genius after consuming brain dust and developing telekinetic powers. In his attempt to steal a treasure chest, Flippy froze inside his bowl in the mountains, only to be crushed by Dogman, who has an unusual habit of rolling over dead fish. Now, Flippy's corpse has been taken to the super awesome Science Center, where top scientists want to study his brain for its mysterious abilities. But one person isn't too thrilled. Reporter Sarah questions if reviving a psychokinetic evil fish is really a good idea. Meanwhile, Pi, the sinister mastermind, watches the news and spots an opportunity. The scientists reassure everyone that the fish can't come back to life unless someone steals him and flies over the living spray factory, where a gas leak could accidentally bring him back. Hearing this, Pi immediately jumps into action. Meanwhile, Dogman is assigned to guard Flippy's body, with strict orders from the chief not to mess up. But Pi is always one step ahead. By the time Dogman checks the security cameras, Flippy is already gone. Pi escapes in a flying vehicle with the fish, and Dogman desperately tries to stop him using a drone from Sarah's cameraman. But after a high-speed aerial chase, Pi gets away, setting his evil plan into motion. Back at his lair, Pi prepares for his ultimate scheme, cloning himself to create the perfect ally in his fight against Dogman. He eagerly follows the steps, inputs his DNA, presses the start button, and something goes terribly wrong. Instead of a full-sized evil duplicate, the machine produces a tiny, innocent kitten. The little cat looks up at Pi and calls him Papa, much to Pi's horror. He names the kitten Little Pi and immediately tries to turn him into a villain. But the kitten is far too pure-hearted to understand. Frustrated, Pi decides to focus on his original plan, reviving Flippy the fish. At the gas factory, Pi is moments away from bringing Flippy back to life when Little Pi accidentally presses the wrong button, ruining the plan. Furious, Pi abandons the kitten in a box on the streets and leaves him to fend for himself. Alone and heartbroken, Little Pi wanders aimlessly until he unknowingly steps into the path of an oncoming truck. Just as disaster strikes, Dogman appears, saving the kitten in the nick of time. Feeling sorry for the little guy, Dogman takes him home, tucks him into bed, and tells him a bedtime story. Meanwhile, Pi is finally free of his annoying sidekick, or so he thinks. When he finds a storybook titled Papa and Me, written by Little Pi, something unexpected happens. He feels a pang of guilt, but when he sees Dogman bonding with Little Pi, that guilt quickly turns into rage. Determined to get his son back, Pi builds a massive robot, storms into Dogman's house, and kidnaps Little Pi while Dogman sleeps. Back at his lair, Pi shows off his latest invention, the Squirrel Shooter, a cannon that fires explosive squirrels, knowing full well that Dogman can't resist chasing them. Despite all his efforts to train Little Pi into becoming an evil mastermind, the kitten refuses to change. Pi insists that the world is cruel, full of misery and selfishness, but Little Pi isn't convinced. Deep down, he wonders if his so-called Papa actually regrets abandoning him. Late that night, little Petey comes up with the perfect idea to make his dad proud. He activates a robot he built and sends it on a mission to find his long-lost grandfather, Petey's dad. Meanwhile, Dogman wakes up and panics when he realizes little Petey is missing. Desperate to find him, he searches the entire house and even turns to reporter Sarah for help. She broadcasts missing posters across the city, but despite their efforts, little Petey is nowhere to be found. Trying to lift Dogman's spirits, Sarah does her best to cheer him up. By morning, the robot finally tracks down Petey's dad and reunites him with little Petey. However, the long-lost grandfather turns out to be nothing but a selfish villain, the true reason behind Petey's dark past. Hoping for a reconciliation, little Petey encourages Petey and his father to make amends, but Grandpa P wants nothing to do with it. Seeing this, Petey decides there's no point in changing. His mission to defeat Dogman continues. At the same time, Flippy the fish finds himself inside the living spray factory, where a mysterious gas revives him. But it doesn't stop there. The gas spreads, transforming the entire factory into a monstrous living creature. Under Flippy's control, the factory monster joins his mission to eliminate Dogman, just as Petey originally programmed him to do. While all of this unfolds, Petey launches a massive attack on the city with a cannon that fires explosive squirrels. Dogman dodges the chaos and confronts Petey in an intense battle. After a long struggle, Dogman defeats Petey and handcuffs him to his own cannon. But just as he secures the villain, little Petey arrives, begging Dogman to let his father go. Torn between his duty as a hero and his friendship with little Petey, Dogman hesitates. Before he can decide, Flippy and his monstrous factory appear. But in a shocking twist, instead of capturing Dogman as planned, Flippy seizes little Petey. Realizing they have no choice but to work together, Petey and Dogman put aside their differences to save little Petey. Petey quickly builds a giant robot, and Dogman takes control, using his martial arts skills to battle the monstrous factory. After an epic fight, Dogman delivers a final suplex move, bringing the monster down. But just as they think it's over, the factory's gas spreads across the city, bringing other buildings to life and turning them evil. With their robot destroyed, Dogman and Petey are powerless as the living buildings unleash chaos. Determined to fight back, little Petey equips himself with a mech suit, but even he is defeated. To protect his son, Petey hatches a risky plan. Dogman must take little Petey far away while he disguises himself as his son to distract Flippy. Flippy, falling for the trick, captures Petey and flies him to a volcano, preparing to throw him in. But just as he's about to drop Petey, Dogman and little Petey arrive. Instead of fighting, little Petey takes a different approach. He shows Flippy kindness, something the villain never had. He reads a heartfelt story to Flippy, touching his heart and breaking the evil spell. As a result, all the living buildings return to normal. Petey nearly falls into the volcano, but Dogman fires his beloved tennis ball from the robot's cannon, knocking him to safety. Flippy, now changed, surrenders to the police. Just as they move to arrest Petey, the mayor arrives and pardons him for helping save the city. Though Petey refuses to admit he's a good guy, he acknowledges that he's doing things for little Petey now, not just himself. Back at home, Petey and little Petey discover that Grandpa P has stolen all of Petey's inventions, leaving their lab completely empty. Little Petey starts to lose hope, but Petey reassures him, yes, the world can be cruel, but with little Petey in it, it's not all bad. In the end, Petey allows little Petey to stay with Dogman from time to time, bringing joy to Dogman, who showers Petey with happy licks. Just when they think the adventure is over, one last living building appears. Except this one isn't evil. It's a party building with neon lights and everyone celebrates together, dancing into the night. Hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, share your thoughts in the comments below, and subscribe to our channel for more great content. Thank you for watching.